5 O'Clock Sweats podcast. As always, I'm Ryan, joined by my handsome friend,
Chris.
And today, Chris and I are going to be not debating, but having a robust discussion on two games that we have both been playing a lot of recently, and we kind of hinted at it in our cooperative game episode. We got two sports games, two Goliaths in the sports game industry. We have Madden, and we've got MLB The Show. And we're going to specifically talk about the co-op experience, because that's what we play. We play co-op on both. We're going to talk about what each bring to the table, go over some specific notes here, and then we'll make a determination. Which one do we enjoy more? I have an answer in mind now, but we'll see if that changes throughout the episode. Maybe I'll change my mind. But yeah, we've been grinding the hell out of these games recently, especially The Show, because it's baseball season, so you kind of have to.
You do. And I don't know. I think for me, I can only play these sports games in season, if that makes sense.
It does, because I feel the same way.
Like I think The Show I could probably play a little bit outside of the season, but like Madden, I definitely can't. And like pretty much like most other sports games, like NHL and such, it would have to be in season. But The Show, we'll talk about it, but The Show has a special place.
Yeah, well, the thing is, baseball season's like is so long. So, I mean, if you're playing the sport game in season, you're playing The Show way more than you're going to be playing Madden.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I haven't bought a new Madden in a long time. I don't remember I don't even remember the last one I bought. I think maybe like Larry Fitzgerald was on the cover, which should tell you how long it's been.
Wait, no, that was there were two players on that cover, right?
Oh yeah,
was it Fitz and
Palomalu?
Troy Palomalu? Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's going back.
That one. Yeah, honestly, I've probably bought one since then, but that's just the first one that comes to mind. And then The Show used to be a PlayStation exclusive, which back in the day, your boy bought. Well, my parents bought me a PlayStation 3, and I primarily wanted one so I could play The Show, because the only baseball game on Xbox at the time, I believe, was MLB 2K, which. Mm-hmm. It was fine. It was okay. It had a lot of flaws, though. And the presentation was just, like, not it. The Show just looked like leaps and bounds better.
I think what MLB 2K had going for it was not that it's really that, intuitive, but, like, using the stick to hit, right? You pull it back to load, and then, you push through to actually swing. I felt like that, there's not much immersion you can have in a baseball game with a controller, but like I felt like, at least that was somewhat, it made sense. The Show, it's just strictly, clicking a button, obviously with the PCI, but I think that's about the only thing that 2K had going for it. That, and it was, the only real offering on Xbox for those years, but it was janky.
Yeah, and back then, like, the Phillies were so good. And I was just craving baseball video games. I was like, I want to play as these Phillies teams, please. So, I played a ton of 2K. I think they actually had the stick mechanic for pitching, too. Which was odd.
Yes,
it wasn't a meter.
You're right. It was...
it was like a similar, like, up and down motion.
Actually, The Show does that, too. But we don't... I don't use... I use the meter, but I
don't fuck with that.
It feels wonky, but... Yeah, so... Wonky. They like that was their thing, but and then at some point the rights were lost by 2K, or I don't know if they're lost or sold, probably lost. And so San Diego Studios was the only one left for baseball. And I think if we're going to talk baseball games, I do have to give a quick shout out to MVP Baseball 2004 and 2005.
Is that who's on the cover? Do you remember who was on the cover for those?
Yeah,
games?
2004 was Randy Johnson.
Man.
2005 was Manny Ramirez.
Oh, man. Red
Dude,
Sox
go to
Manny.
games, but that's like those are like peak soundtracks. The gameplay was phenomenal. Anyone that had played those games knows that there's like an iconic Barry Bonds imposter. His name is John Dowd. Yeah, John Dowd.
So weird. I don't understand why these players don't. It's like Belichick and Madden. Like he's not in the game.
Well, that was during like, the steroid era when he was under all that investigation and stuff. So I think that's just kind of why. I don't even know if they pursued his his likeness or if, he didn't consent to it, whatever it might have been. But I mean, the guy was, this John Dowd was very clearly Barry Bonds because like you would just touch the ball and it would go out.
It was like the same number.
Yeah.
You're like the player model, I think, was, not
even close.
Didn't look like Barry Bonds at all, but like same
not
number.
even close. But
and you batted fourth in the lineup or whatever. It's Barry Bonds. That's just so weird.
Best game was probably for me MVP 05, and then another one is I'm looking it up, and they had an NCAA version.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I've never played an NCAA baseball game.
And I just want to make sure. So it was, they did an 07, but I played MVP 06 NCAA baseball. And I'm not going to lie, because, that was the time where, I was actually still playing baseball. And to play a video game with aluminum or metal bats.
Man, was the sound different?
Oh, it was amazing. It was like the most satisfying ping. It was so cool, dude. I loved that game. Was great. It was basically just a reskin of, MVP baseball, but with college players and oh god, the bats were so cool. I'm not gonna lie. Me and some buddies had a lot of time played on that, but yeah, those to me are the peak baseball games. Baseball games now have kind of, I think they become stagnant. Yeah, we can talk about that. So. I guess let's just talk about the show, and then we can also kind of talk about Madden and sort of compare the co-op, right? Because we're so old and slow on the sticks now that we play these sports games in co-op mode. And, for anyone that doesn't know what that means in the context of a sports game, for both Madden and the show, FIFA, NHL, they all have variations of this where you can play on the same team. Most games you create like a player. For example, like in FIFA, it's pro clubs. You make your own character and stats, and then you play on it. You make a team and play on that team. In Madden, what we've been doing, you can also create your own player, but we've just been playing like 2v2s. Just so one person's quarterback, one person is skill position like wide receiver, running back. And then in the show, you could do 2v2 or 3v3 where you're each on the same team and you cycle through playing infield, outfield, and pitching. And then the hitting obviously just rotates between the 2 or 3 people on your team. So it's a really fun way. Ryan, what would you say is your draw to, the co-op version of these games besides us being old and needing help?
It's just way more fun. Like just the shenanigans you can do. I got you in my ear. I feel the pressure, like when I'm playing with you or whomever, and like I feel like my performance affects the outcome of the game. I don't want to let you down. I got you in my ear criticizing me, like how dare you? I'm like, why are you in front of that slider again, hitting it foul down the first baseline for the 100th time in a row? Yeah, I like the kind of pressure you get to kind of perform and get the win for your squad. And it's just funny to like just goof around and see some of the janky shit that happens in the game and just talk about it.
and we'll get to that, but I think that's in like every game, every sports game for sure. But I agree with you. I agree with you. I think my draw is the same thing. It's like, it's the closest thing to playing a team sport again, without actually, having to do that. So it is fun to like, be able to, sometimes you pick up the slack for your teammate or vice versa. And, you make a good play or, you're strategizing together and, wins feel much more satisfying when it's, like a team effort. Plus
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, it's also nice knowing on the other end that like we're shitting on like a few people at once,
Yeah.
and that, they're probably yelling at each other right now because we just smacked a fucking home run. So I get a kick out of that.
Yeah, no, me too. And to touch on the strategizing aspect again, like this is a very apparent in Madden. Like there's a little bit of strategizing in baseball with like bullpen usage where you hit guys in the lineup.
Mhm.
Like if we're using the Braves, we want to hit Matt Olson either second or third if we're playing. I'm looking at where you're hitting basically because I usually host, so I'm usually the leadoff batter. And if you're second, I want to move Olson up to second or keep him at third if you're the third guy. So the strategy there, but Madden, there's a lot more strategizing. You have a lot more ways to strategize when in regards to just like play calling.
Mhm.
And improvising routes and audibles and
and just to clarify, so we're not saying that like baseball has more strategizing or less strategizing than football as a sport, but like particularly like in the sense of us playing on the same team in the game. There's more variables that we can kind of mess with, like in Madden. Exactly, like the playbook, offensive playbook, defensive playbook. Obviously, each play that we call, adjustments that we make in terms of what plays we're running or how we're defending or attacking a certain opponent. And it's good to it gives you like that collaboration. It's like, what do you think if we do this instead? And then it is, there's like high pressure and we have to like make decisions and like same thing in a real sport, right? Like we need the first down and it's like, okay, this has got to be a good run here or catch the deep ball, whatever it might be. Not throw 4 interceptions, that.
Yeah, that's what I struggle with. That's my Achilles heel. No, there's like how many times have we played the Dolphins and then like I don't know, we call a route to Tyreek and you're just like, I'm just gonna run straight.
Yeah.
And I bomb it to you and it's a touchdown. It's such a great feeling. I love that.
It's nice to like, rely on a teammate. And then I think like in MLB, because baseball is a lot of patience and it's a lot of, repetition. So, we kind of strategize about like, how guys are, pitching, with certain pitchers and, what their tendencies are and like maybe adjustments that we can make in terms of hitting or, we're like yelling at each other, he's stealing.
He's stealing, yeah.
Like,
and then I just still can't get him out because the animation is
because you're just pump faking to every base. Yeah. So that's definitely a good part of it. I think what I would like to talk about, though, I think we can start with the show because each game particularly has some specific annoyances, but I'd like to dive into a list of like jankiness or just like just the negative aspects of co-op on the show, not specifically glitches in the show, but like to the co-op mode. What are some things? Gosh, there's so many, but what are some things off the top of your head?
Oh man, the frequent pausing. That's probably the biggest offender in co-op is, especially if you're playing 3 people, 3v3. That's 6 people total who can pause the game, and it just disrupts the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And we pause too, but not nearly as much as our opponents. Like,
no, and
what are they doing?
To be honest, I feel like when we pause, it's with intent. Like we're literally like paused for something just fell over. We're paused for like a second, to warm up like a pitcher or whatever it might be. But I feel like the other teams pause because they're like going to like make ramen or they're like taking a piss or they're like, I don't know. It gives me the same feeling of like, how we talked about in COD, like those YY kids or in any shooting game where they're just like so spammy. I feel like it's that.
Well, yeah. Listen, life gets in the way. I'm guilty of pausing because, I gotta piss. You can't hit when you have a full bladder. It's not easy. But besides that, sometimes you have to pause because you got to take care of little girl, but that's few and far in between. Um, and but yeah, these people that are pausing, like it's like free, and sometimes it's just like every other hitter. It's like, what are you doing? Like maybe like they're not even shifting the infield around or anything. Like they're just
they pause and nothing comes of it.
happy.
Like
it's almost like they're trying to pause so we quit. Like so we get annoyed and we quit, or they're testing our patience and we'll just get really aggressive at the plate or something.
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a game within the game, and I think they're trying to be annoying. But here's the thing: I actually think MLB deals with the pausing like the worst. I think their system sucks. Like
3 minutes
I'm pretty
is way
sure,
too long.
But each person gets 3 minutes. And
I don't know about that.
Is it, or is it three total?
It might be a pool. Like
okay,
it's 3 minutes for everybody, like a minute each, I guess. But then it resets. Sometime.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say next. Is I don't actually remember. Is it like every inning it resets? Probably, or every half inning? I don't know, but regardless, is it resets, and it can get quite egregious, and it honestly can add a good like 5 minutes or more to a game, which is in the grand scheme of things not that much, but like what does an MLB game take? I mean, I know it varies, but maybe like 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, at least. I mean,
maybe 45 to an hour. I mean,
in the rare occasions we play a full 9 innings, like at least 40 to 50 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a long investment. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's too what's pissed me off about that game in co-op is there's been a lot of times, you just said if we play a full 9 innings, there's been a lot of times where we've invested 7, 8 innings of time only for the game to freeze. And this has been an ongoing issue in MLB The Show for at least the last 3 years. For anyone that's not familiar, excuse me, I haven't found like a specific thing that causes it, but like you could hit a foul ball, you could, I mean, my God, like
it can be anything.
You can literally do anything.
Yeah.
You can just get out, and the game will just. It doesn't even like freeze. Like the players are still like moving and fidgeting on the field, but like
the finger wiggles.
Exactly, but nobody can do anything, your team or their team, and essentially it's a freeze off. And I mean, somebody just has to quit, and then it sucks because you're really investing. Like I said, like I mean, you could put 45 minutes into a game and it freezes, and it was like a great game. You know what I mean? You were like, the score was tight, you were hitting well, and then all that just goes out the window. And to me, that's the most frustrating thing. And that's kind of sometimes when I think about getting on, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that. It's exhausting. Like, it's not that bad, but
no, it's
frustrating. Yeah. It's frustrating. It's off-putting to say the least.
Because when we play, it's usually like later evening. We're gonna get like maybe 2 games in, and would you rather play that with the risk of having it all mean nothing and having your time wasted, or play COD?
Exactly.
Something is going to work at least.
Or anything, yeah. And then the other thing is with that too is, and this isn't as bad because, usually this happens when we're smacking somebody or we're getting smacked, but there's a lot of quitting. Rarely do you complete a game. We've experienced this a lot where like, we might hit 2 home runs in the first inning, let's say, and they just quit immediately.
Which I'm okay with that, honestly. Like, quit early. Just if it's the first inning, get it out of the way. That's fine. We can restart off that pretty easily. But yeah, like what was it? Yesterday we were playing, and we didn't even throw a pitch, and because we were playing as the Pirates, and I guess the other team got scared because they figured, this team's playing as the Pirates. They're a bad team. They got to be really good. And they just got scared and quit before anything was done.
Which that's fine. But it's also like, why did you load up the game? I just always wonder, what's going on the other end there? Like, because it takes a few minutes to get into a match, going through all the screens, selecting everything. It's like, it's not like you just press a button and just wait, like in like, Call of Duty, you just press Q and you just get thrown into a game. Like, there's like deliberate things you need to do to get to a match, like to go through that and just be like, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, that's time.
I don't know. It's weird. So I think, those are obviously some downsides of the show, but I think kind of on a more like like I guess technical aspect. There is just some wonky shit that happens. And I found this to be mostly in baseball games, going back to like MLB 2K. It's just something about baseball games. I guess there's a lot of like kind of odd, weird, nuancy physics that happen in baseball, just simple things like, how somebody gathers, a ground ball or transitions the ball to the glove. Like there's a lot of like not weird, but like kind of like detail things that happen. And I just find the show, especially online, to have like a bit of a, how do I say it? The controls don't feel
intuitive,
but they also just don't feel as responsive. Throw meters are kind of clunky at times, preloading your throws. It leads to a lot of errant throws.
It varies,
there's a lot of like shitty animations with the infielders where like, you field a ground ball and this guy should be out, but it's just like they just take their time throwing. It's just weird. Stuff that you don't have any control over.
Yeah, no, that is frustrating. It happens. It doesn't happen often enough where it's like, it's game breaking for me or anything like that. The freeze glitch is game breaking. That is just bad. Like that is just a kick in the balls whenever that happens. But yeah, I know I get like animations. I'm not saying animation's easy or anything, but I feel like it's been the same shit every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like there should be, I'm sure players are providing feedback. I'm sure they look. I hope they would look at the game from the previous year and be like, "How can we make this better?" They have to remember at the end of the day, like this is a video game. Like I know they want to go for like a simulation style, which is fine, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the game is operating the way like a baseball game should. Like, there's no reason why my shortstop should be, getting a ground ball, looking at it, tossing it in the air to himself, brushing his teeth, and then throwing the ball to first base.
Yeah,
just throw the damn ball.
Especially when you preload the throw, right? Like we're using the intended mechanics, and it's still like there's still things that are out of our control. So yeah, the animations are pretty shit, to be honest. And to your point, it's like I don't even think they're trying to be like that realistic because the stuff that happens is unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like a ground ball to shortstop. I know it's deep, it's kind of like in the hole there, but like an MLB shortstop can make that play, right? They can feel that grounder and transition to a throw quickly.
Yeah, that's the point.
Same thing turning double plays. There's just some wonky stuff there. I will say, I find that some of like the weird, for example, when you make a pickoff, right, to a certain base, you're only supposed to have 2 pickoffs. And for a while there, we had a bug where like you would do your 2 pickoffs and then like you could still keep going after that. And actually, I think the third one was almost like an automatic like pickup. Like
because you assume that you can take a big lead, which I fell victim to a couple of times.
Yeah.
Which was bullshit. I'm like, oh, he has no more pickoff attempts. I should be able to take a huge lead if I want. And lo and behold, I get picked off.
Yeah.
And there's no penalty whatsoever.
Absolutely. And then we have ones like, I think you remember, maybe it was like 2 weeks ago, we were playing as the Yankees and I hit a fly ball out with Judge. And then the next batter on our team comes up. So Ryan, in this case, would be hitting with whoever the player was. I don't know who comes in. Is it Giancarlo or is it?
Yeah, I think it's Stanton or Rizzo.
Or Rizzo. And then Judge is like somehow on first base. Like the out recorded, but he's on the base.
Yeah, no, he clearly was out. The guy caught the ball, he was out, but he was on first base.
But what happened? Do you remember?
I hit a homer and it counted as 2 runs. Which was such bullshit. The guy, I think they paused the game to like digest what just happened.
And then they quit.
They did quit, yeah. They did. But I don't think they quit right after that. I think they waited a little longer and then we're just like, this game's bugged. The cards are stacked against us. It's not meant to be.
But I mean, again, listen, weird stuff happens, but it's like, it's so strange because like MLB is the one game where like the bugs are just so inconsistent. Like we may never see that happen again. Why did that happen?
That's the first time I've ever seen that happen.
Exactly.
And I've been playing the show for like 14 years. I've never seen that happen before.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not even like, typically in a game, like a glitch is a glitch or a bug is a bug, and you can recreate it and you'll usually see it like, from time to time. But like, that's one where it's like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. No, it's dumb. It just chalk it up to video games, technology. It's imperfect. It
is highly imperfect, but I think that's why, baseball, I'm praying EA, we need a little more competition on the games. I think all sports games need some more competition. Growing up, we had like multiple options for every sport. And nowadays it's pretty much like there's a monopoly for each sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's
like 2K is just fully invested in basketball. The show is baseball. EA's got Madden and soccer, not FIFA anymore, football club, FC.
Yeah.
They got that on lock. So it's just, and then EA's got hockey, NHL. So we need, in order for these, developers and publishers to actually push the envelope and innovate and refine these games, we need more competition. Otherwise, there's just no incentive. And that's why, with a lot of these games, even the show, we've been seeing the same shit for like 3-4 years now. Like, oh, this was a problem in 2021.
Yeah. It's bad when, this about me. It's bad when the only thing I expect to be different each year in the show are the player stances.
Yeah.
And that's like what I look forward to the most is like, have they finally perfected these player stances? And I'm always I'm always surprised and frustrated with some of the decisions they make, because it's like they don't even watch the games or they have never seen this person hit before. Like, I've already ranted about this to you while we're playing, but JT Realmuto, the catcher for the Phillies, had the perfect stance the last like 2 years the game's been out.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, this year, they decided to make him like slouch. Like he's got a little humpback when he's standing in the box. It was perfect before. Why did they do that? It's little changes like that. But then at the same time, like they made Harper's stance look awesome. Like he's got his little preload foot tap, which is good. Stott's stance is great. But then they do shit like give Harper like this weird hair, like this weird like very straight long hair, like
straight and stiff looking long hair, like just so it literally looks like a wig. It's terrible.
It's bad. Like first of all, he doesn't really do the long hair thing anymore, like as much. Like he does sometimes, but it's mostly short. It just makes him look weird. I don't
absolutely.
They can't. They fix one thing and they fuck up another.
Well, they change things that don't need to be changed when there's like glaring issues that they should be addressing that they ignore. But I digress. Maybe let's roll over to Madden. Let's beat up Madden a little bit. Now, granted, I will admit we have not put nearly as many hours into Madden as we have MLB, but I think
recently.
We can compile enough stuff. So, what would you say would be some of the knocks against Madden, specifically in the co-op mode?
The one thing I don't like is the quarterback situation. Like,
okay.
I don't like that if that only one player is the quarterback for the entire game. I wish it changed every other possession. I think that'd be fair.
Or you could manually change it, right? Like,
yeah,
let's say, I start as the quarterback and I'm kind of fucking up. Like, okay, we could switch it over to you and then I'll play wide receiver, running back. Like,
yeah,
why can't we have that control?
I don't know. Or make it every other half. That would mean a half would be fine, but it's like the full game, and it's not like the games are particularly long. They're like 4-minute quarters, I think. That's another thing I don't like. I wish they were longer. Wish you could do like 6 minutes at least.
Yeah, it feels a little rushed, and it's like sometimes you're just getting into a groove, and the half's over, and it's like it makes clock management a little bit tougher because you lose a sense of time with how short that is. So I agree. I think the time is not great. I think the way that the roles are shared is not like doesn't really seem equal.
No, it doesn't, because defense. And look, you do a good job on defense, and you have fun with defense from the sound of it. But come on, like most people are not going to want to pick defensive plays when they can be the quarterback of the offense. Like, it's really not comparable.
Absolutely, and then I think too, like speaking in terms of like sharing the roles and everything, I think that like player swapping on offense is difficult. Like there's a bunch of times where I'm we call a play and I'm like, hold on, like it gave me some, like some random tight end, but I need to be so and so. So like, give me a second, let me click the, I don't know, is it B or A like 15 times to get to
move the thumbstick over?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it should always default to the primary option on the play, and then I don't know, just make it easier. Like I don't know, let me hold a button, pull up a mini screen. Let me just select the player I want to choose, something like that.
Like even you could just do it like this, right? Exactly. Like on a pass play, I don't even know if it's like give me the primary receiver, like maybe give me
or like
the best overall.
Or
you know what I mean? By default,
what if you were able to choose like your preferred player before the game starts?
Okay, so it always just going to go to that person, then you can swap out of it. Yeah. I think that's a good option. And listen, maybe you can do that. To be honest,
actually, some of these features might exist, but we've played a good amount. And I feel like we would know.
I think the other thing too is, if I remember correctly, sometimes when we call a run play after a pass play, like it doesn't automatically give me the running back.
No, I think you're still the receiver, whatever you were prior, and you're blocking.
Is like, yeah, exactly. Like, do I really want to be the tight end and throw a block? Like I mean,
you do like blocking. You are a good blocker.
I do, but like, I'll be honest, it is fun. But no, like I want to be the running back, and 99.9% of players are going to want to do that. So there's just some wonkiness in that, which I think kind of like kind of ruins your like your, I don't know, your flow. But it does feel good when things work right. Having said that, I still think Madden has some freaking weird tackle animations and strange.
I will say, I will say, as much as Madden hasn't evolved, I do feel like the tackling animations and running animations look very good, and they've gotten better. A lot better over the years. This year in particular, they look very realistic. Like there are some tackles where I'm like, oh, that would actually happen in a game. That looks pretty good.
Yes, and I think one of the things they've fixed, because I used to play Madden like years and years ago, is like, in the first handful of years they introduced like truck sticking and hit sticking. It was like,
man,
yeah, but it was just like, come on,
it was awesome.
It was like it was sound. Every time, yeah, and then like the hit sticks were like insane hits. I mean, like your dude would just get like freaking flipped in the air, but like it's all right, it's fun, but it's also like, dude, it's like every time I get hit stick, I'm just dropping the ball on the ground. Like I'm just straight fumbling.
Yeah, when they first released hit stick, it was OP. And it's definitely been balanced every year. Like you don't fumble over the years. Like you don't fumble nearly as much. You actually you can get penalized for hit sticking if the guy puts a good juke on you and you
miss big time. Yeah. So I think you're right. The tackling's definitely improved. I still think that there's something to be said about like the computer and how they just it's still very exploitable, like to exploit like the computer defense players. Even when we're playing co-op, obviously there's a bunch of guys on the field being controlled by the computer. And then the interceptions, like the linebackers in the secondary, sometimes they just do some crazy shit. And then there's other times where it's like this is the easiest interception ever, and it just smacks off his hands.
Yep.
Like it just. Yeah. And that's been Madden forever, but it's just a little frustrating, and it sometimes feels like you're kind of fighting against the game a bit.
Yeah, I'm not good at Madden. I'm not going to say I am.
Neither am I.
I am not great. I am very bad on defense. Like if I'm controlling a secondary player, linebacker, safety, corner, I almost just default to I only really play as the middle linebacker because I feel like that in zone coverage.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is the easiest thing. I just kind of sit in a spot, and if a player crosses my eyes, I'll drift to them. But primarily I'm just going to control a defensive lineman because more times than not the computer is going to do a better job than I will.
Sure.
Covering at least.
Yeah, and that's how I am. I'm always working on the pass rush. And I mean, because I honestly think like I do know how to like use the moves as the lineman, so I feel like it does you apply a lot of pressure to the opposing quarterbacks more so than the computer does sometimes. But yeah, I definitely think Madden has less shortcomings, less bullshit.
There is less bullshit. There's no game breaking freeze glitch.
Yeah.
Like you actually finish your games unless the other team quits.
Which I haven't found that to be the case too much in Madden, but we've also had pretty tight games because we're nothing special. But
yeah, we've lost a few clunkers. We haven't really blown anybody out yet, but we've had some close wins. But as we mentioned, the games aren't long enough for like a team to score like 40 plus points. Like unless you're just Swiss cheese on defense, which sometimes we are.
Sometimes that Eagles secondary, porous. It's porous. It's like SpongeBob up in there.
One other flaw and it's not really a co-op issue. It's more of just like this year's game issue is the aggressive catching, which is non-existent.
Oh,
non-existent.
Yes.
If you're a receiver, like AJ Brown should be catching at least 50% of the balls that are thrown to him when he's in one-on-one coverage.
Yes.
He catches none of the balls. Not a single one. And sometimes, like, it hits him in the hands and he just drops it, which that's not going to happen.
Yeah, actually, we noticed that a lot. There was one game where we were like, dude, is something like broken? Because like we had like 9, and I'm not even joking, like 9 great passes that just hit off of receivers' hands that like I wasn't necessarily controlling. So, usually I blame it on myself, but they were just like, they would catch it and then the tackle would happen and they would just roll out like every fucking time. Like, you're going to bring that ball down.
It's like the game, like, I know the Eagles were bad at the second half of last year, but I mean, it's like they've never seen an Eagles receiver make a contested catch ever.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
Devontae,
kind of
Goddard, AJ, none of them were catching like tight window balls at all.
Yeah, they don't seem to like high point the ball well. And I'll admit, like, when they introduced aggressive catch, which is what, like 16, was that when Odell was on the cover? They wanted to put that in just so you could do that Odell catch.
Yep.
That it was way broken then. Like, it was just like an automatic like highlight reel catch, which I think was bad, but it just feels like the different catch modes now, like, or catch methods don't really affect much. I don't know.
No, it doesn't. I'm slamming Y. I'm holding Y, the Y button, and he does nothing. He barely gets off the ground to make an attempt at the catch. It's frustrating. I feel like it is a bug per se.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing too is like the throwing systems with the quarterbacks, like there's few ways to innovate. And I think like they keep trying to like make that more and more nuanced and like, raise the skill gap for being able to be a good passer. But there's a few different methods, like settings for throwing. And I think the default one though, like, cause they put you through like a tutorial and it's just like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like hold LB and press up on the stick, then tap the pass of the receiver, and then it's just like
you're playing Twister.
What happened to just like hold the button for like a bullet pass, tap it for like a lob, and then everything in between? I don't know. It's giving you more control, but it's also making things just weird because we've had some balls that just come out like, what the hell is that?
And they do need to like add some nuance to the passing because it's realistic. Because a lob between a lob and a bullet pass, you want to just like kind of arch something over a linebacker into your receiver's hands. Like, I do like that they give you kind of that. They give you a little bit more control over throws like that. Like, I've had a couple where you just barely throw it over the linebacker, like he leaps and it goes right over his fingers.
Yeah, you can drop it in on people, which
it's nice. It's really satisfying to do that.
Because I think that used to be like an automatic interception. Like, if you're throwing over the middle of the field, the linebacker drops back like in the coverage there, like
they're
probably going to be a pick.
You throw it right at him or you lob it, and it's in the air for so long that the entire defense is swarming your receiver by the time it comes down.
Yeah, you're right. I just find it, and that's probably more of a skill issue, but I just find it like a little bit, I don't know. It just seems like if I have to press 3 buttons in like a certain way to throw the football, like that's annoying to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's talk about the presentation a little bit. Both games look good to an extent, and then some parts look absolutely horrible. And both games suffer from this, unfortunately. I don't know. Let's start with Madden, since we're on Madden already.
All right. Can I say the one that
Yeah.
you know what I'm gonna
I
say?
know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
All right. My
Go ahead.
biggest gripe in terms of like presentation, like visually, is there's two things. Why do the bench players look so skinny? Two, why do the coaches look like Play-Doh?
Man,
Dude,
they look so bad.
specifically Mike McCarthy. Dude has a giant fat head and then like a just chiseled body in that
looks like
game.
a bobblehead. He just looks like a bobblehead. It's just so they
And Sirianni has like literally the worst scoliosis I've ever seen, and then he's got a straight up like dump truck for an ass. Like
he's got a dumpy. He's got a big dumpy, dude. Which is a shame because like I actually think like the face looks good on a lot of these coaches, but everything else is just out of proportion and just janky looking.
It's bad. It's bad. It's
distracting.
It's like, in certain games when like obviously like they're trying to limit the the amount of resources used. So like, things off in the distance, like a city off in the distance is like, blurry and like shitty looking. Like I get that, but it's like this is like the sideline.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like and they cut to these players
all the time, and because they're trying to simulate an actual broadcast, which I appreciate, but at least put more effort into making your sideline look better. Especially, I mean, the coaches, like, again, I think the faces look good, the body not so much. The side, the bench players, like, they're all just cardboard cutouts of each other with just different numbers. They're all the same body type, different colored skin, different numbers, but they're just the same. There's no differentiation between the players. It's just they're just cardboard cutouts.
Bad.
And the crowd, they don't do as much crowd shots in Madden. The crowd looks good when you're like playing the game, like in the background, and the screen shakes a little bit when they're getting really loud, which is cool. But yeah, but that's fine. How about the announcers? What do you think?
It's bad. It's really bad because it's clearly just recycled. I mean, you hear the same lines, and in fact, like they'll actually make errors. You know what I mean? This happens in MLB too, but like what they say is happening or happened is not at all what happened. Like even close, and it's pretty egregious. I have to say that the most egregious thing we saw was Ron Rivera was still the coach of the Carolina Panthers in one of the online games.
What the hell was that? I don't know how that's possible. That is such an oversight. I don't know.
Because it's been a couple years.
It's been a long he was in Washington for like 3 years.
I don't know what that was. Maybe we were seeing his ghost.
Maybe there's just a diehard Ron Rivera Carolina Panthers fan out there who's like one of the developers, like he's not letting go.
Yeah, keep him in. But yeah, I would say like the commentators, the only thing that sucks is that they're just so recycled. You know?
I wish they would
I'd like to hear fresh voices. But please not Greg Olson.
I like Greg Olson.
No, anyway.
How about Romo? What if they got Romo in there? Would you even play the game?
I'd buy the Ultimate Edition.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Yeah, and it's the same. They had a couple of lines each year to like update stats, or like if the Eagles or whomever makes the playoffs or won the Super Bowl, be like, oh well, yeah, they won the Super Bowl last year, and then it's the same old recycled lines from previous years. They should change the announcers. I feel like at least, I mean, every year might be asking too much. That's probably a lot of money to pay these people to do it. But what if they got like Aikman and Buck? Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Like again, for me, it's just I just think like just a fresh set of voices and some new lines. Like that's all. That's just kind of all I need. You know what I mean? And you're right, though. It's actually like a super long process from what I understand. I mean, because like you have to record like thousands and thousands of lines of audio. And, it's time consuming. And it's also like, I'm sure they're thinking, so what? If we change the commentators, is it going to sell any more or any less copies of Madden? Probably not.
But it'll I don't know. That's something you'll notice immediately though when you're playing. Like, oh, they changed that. That's cool.
Yeah,
and,
if you
and like in your brain will tell you it's different. Where they may be saying the same exact shit, but it's different people saying it. So you're like, okay, this is different enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember back in the day, they had Collinsworth.
Did they? When was that?
Like maybe like 9, 10.
You see, I'd be okay with Collinsworth coming back. I don't know anyone. Who do they have? They have Kevin Burkhardt and something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're due for a change. All right, let's jump over to the show. We'll talk about their presentation. And again, like with Madden, there's good and bad, but I would say there's more bad with the show than there is Madden.
Yeah.
So let's start with the player models.
Ass.
I wouldn't say ass, but they all are like the base, like the generic body of a MLB The Show character model is meant to look stockier than they should.
Yes.
They look thick. It's just hard. You don't really have like any like Shohei kind of looks like Shohei, like he's a little tall, not lanky, but like he's got long arms and whatnot. Like I don't know, he looks okay, but for the most part, the faces look good, I think.
Well, so I think to a certain extent the faces look good. But what I would say in terms of the graphics in MLB is they have not changed in like I've actually seen videos of like The Show 16, and I'm like, yo, this looks like the same. And it is. It's a lot of recycled assets, which I get, but it's like the graphics engine, nothing's changed. And to me, the show is like a very kind of, the players all just look like washed out, right? Like the skin doesn't like have any like real like depth to it. It's just like everyone's just like a matte color. Same thing with the jerseys. The hats, to me, the hats look weird in my opinion. Like the brims don't bend, and it just looks like a like a pot or a pan on top of somebody's head. It just looks like total shit.
Yeah.
And the
hair
gloves
looks bad
too. Yeah, the hair looks bad. The gloves look bad. I mean, the bats look great. The show's always done a pretty good job of making the bats look good. I will say that.
Bats look good. The stadiums look good.
Mm-hmm. And the field itself looks pretty good. It's just, I mean, the character models they're not impressive.
Which is a shame because back in the day, like when the show was first a thing, and like it was the difference between like 2K and the show was like night and day. Like I thought it looked incredible.
Exactly. And it did. It did. It's like that tall kid in like, elementary school that just stops growing and ends up becoming like the short kid.
Yeah, that's me.
It's
me.
but that's MLB The Show is like, it looked so great for so long because 2K was also there, like, side by side. So they had to actually like compete. And then once that went away, they're like, all right, we're done. Just keep copy and paste. And you can see it. It doesn't look great. Even like, to be honest though, like the dirt and like the slides with the sand, like it just,
oh yeah, it looks like cat litter on the, on the at home plate.
Yeah. We're just advanced. Like you play certain games and you're just like, damn, like the stuff they can do graphically in games nowadays is so amazing. And then we look at like that. It looks like literally like dog shit as like little pieces of dirt.
Well, it's discouraging because like if you're not going to change the core mechanics of the game every year, I mean, you have games like NBA 2K that are pushing the envelope with the way their game looks. Like they show every year you see like, oh, wow, look at this player model. Like this looks real. Like, I know it's a small thing. It might seem like a small thing, but like the sweat, like on a player's face, you can see the pores. Like it looks incredible. Like you put some of these like in-game screenshots side by side to like their real life counterpart, and like you can tell the difference. But like it looks fucking good. Looks really good. Where the show, like you said, everyone kind of looks like has like a Play-Doh-y sort of aesthetic to them.
Yeah, and then like they'll cut to like a player's face and like he's just doing like some weird shit like with his nose, just like scrunching his face. Like it's just...
Or like when they're at the plate and like their eye starts twitching for no reason, or like they start like doing this, like their mouth starts twitching all of a sudden. Not sure what that's about.
The jerseys too, right? Like there's just the jerseys look like a wrinkled mess. You know what I mean? And listen, I know we're nitpicking, but it's like, really though, it's
2024. Like
you play a game like I'm just making this up, right? Like you play like Red Dead Redemption 2, which came out 6 years ago, and it's like, look at the shit you have in that graphically. You know what I mean? Look at like, you know, any of these games. Like, you know, look at, you know, God, like I'm sure GTA is gonna be crazy, but you know, you can literally look at any modern game and say like, wow, like that's amazing what we can do. We can see beads of water, you know, on their you know, whatever their clothes, and it's like, then you get to MLB The Show, and it's like, holy shit, this is PlayStation 3.
Look at how incredible like racing games look nowadays.
Yeah, like, and that's what I'm saying. It's not good.
No, I'm just saying like it's insane. Like sports games should be like their prime. I mean, obviously they want the game to function, but after that, like if you're not like from year to year, and these games come out every year, you don't have enough time to really innovate.
Yes,
the way your game plays, but you can improve the graphics every year, even if it's a little bit, just so you can see an improvement. It's been 10 years, and the show looks basically the same as it did 10 years ago.
Yeah, and here's the thing I'll say is, I do have there's a couple reasons I think for that. You know, one obviously being money. It's always money. But I think the part of the issue specifically on the end of, well, I guess like, you know, Xbox and PlayStation 2 is, you know, they're still developing a lot of these sports games for, like, you can play it on PS4 and you can play it on like the original Xbox One. So they're still making these games for last gen, and so like that's kind of like that's where the bar is set, is, you know, you know what I mean, like it's holding it back,
which is crazy that they're still doing that in 2024. Like,
you know,
that console came out 2016.
What?
Yeah, like the last gen consoles.
Xbox One was 2013.
Jesus, yeah, time flies.
Yeah, so it's dated, bro, and I miss those days, and I know we're kind of past that, because we're at that point of like, you know, we've at least for right now, I feel like we've reached kind of like the top of what we can do graphically for games, and it's like, you know, it's just a matter of like, you know, little bits and pieces here and there. But, you know, remember when you used to get a game, sports game or not, and like you immediately noticed like, holy shit, this looks so much better graphically, visually than the previous year, or like, you know, the previous game.
Remember the first time we played Gears of War, like how incredible Gears of War looked? It still looks incredible, but back then that was such a huge leap in graphics.
Yeah,
from anything we've played, it was like jaw dropping.
And I don't think we're gonna really find that anytime soon, because like I said, we've pushed so far. I mean, that was just a time where like there was a lot of, you know, there was a big step up to be made, and we're not there anymore. But still, it doesn't. You can play Madden 22, 23, 24, I'm sure 25. You know what I mean? You can put them all side by side and minimal change visually.
Yeah.
You know,
to give Madden credit, I will say, like, I think each game gets a little better looking every year. Not by a lot, but just enough. Like, I think this year's Madden is the best looking Madden we've ever had.
It should be.
Player model, like the players look good, not the coaches and not the sideline players, but the players in the field look pretty good and true to life. And the stadiums look good, the grass looks good, and on top of that, like the animations, like we mentioned, are pretty damn smooth in Madden. So you put all that together, you got a pretty damn good looking game.
Yeah.
The show is kind of the opposite. Not that it looks. It's not like tough to look at. It's not like offensive to the eye or anything like that, but it's just like same animations every year, same player models, same graphic fidelity.
What did they,
yeah.
You know, what did they change? The only thing that I can like just tell you straight up off the top of my head that I know they changed is they changed the sound of the ball hitting the bat. Particularly like, you know, when you get like a perfect, it's a little bit snappier. I like the sound.
Sounds awesome.
But that's what they changed. As far as I know there's more, but I'm just saying like, that's what I can tell you without even thinking about it.
And
that's sad.
and we can't stop this conversation about the presentation for the show without talking about the infamous fan cam.
Listen. You
It's
know
the
what?
worst feature in any sports game I've ever seen.
All right,
It's so bad.
Let's explain for anybody watching or listening who does not play MLB The Show. Fan cam is essentially like a cut scene from the one half inning to the next. So, we're hitting 3 outs. Okay, time to switch over. Now they cut to the fan cam, which is a random camera in the stands, and you can use the right thumbstick to move the camera real slow. But the irony is that the fans look like dog shit.
Man, the fans look so bad. The fans for sure have not changed since the very first show game came out. Like those fan models are recycled, and they haven't been updated whatsoever. Maybe they give them, like, instead of a pretzel, they give them like a box of popcorn or something.
But it just blows my mind. It's like a 10-second time.
It's
why who thought that we want to do that? I don't give a shit about moving my stick around to look at, like, I don't understand that.
Show me the skyline, or show me, like, I don't know, show me like an upward shot of the field.
Or I don't even know, but what the hell? Why do that? And second of all, it's like, if you know something looks like garbage, why are you like honing in on it?
It's like a feature. Yeah, like, oh my God, look at our amazing looking fans. And also, like, the parts of the stadium they choose to look at aren't finished. Like,
it's just like a concrete slab with like ugly ass fans, like, and it's supposed to be like there's
no detail. There's no detail at all. Like, I get it's a lot. I get it's more work, but if you're gonna keep that feature in your game, at least make it look good. Like, make me want to turn the camera around because I want to see something cool. Now I'm just turning around because I want to see how much shittier it can get.
I actually think there's probably like a huge majority of players that don't even know that that's a thing, like, because they're not even paying attention to that. Because it is. It's like, it's so fast too. It's like, by the time I even realize what it is, it's like, okay, we've loaded into the next half inning. Yeah. I don't even see the point. It's just so dumb. But that's just like a weird.
It's a weird, unnecessary feature that just shows how ugly the game looks in some parts. Like, I don't know what they're not flexing on anybody.
But it also it shows too how much copy and paste there is, because clearly this was a feature intended for like when the show maybe looked half decent, and like it just hasn't gone away, or or like nobody's realized that it's dumb, or they've realized it's dumb, but then nobody's going to actually take it out of the game and work on it. It's just like, we just leave shit, and what I mean, we're not actually building upon our games. We just leave shit the way it was, and then we tweak a couple elbow placement, arm placement, bat placement in the batting stances.
Yeah.
And, we repurpose it. And I think, it might get worse, because now that the game's on Game Pass, I'm sure there's like a huge chunk of, sales that kind of like don't exist. I don't really know how that works for them, but it's like, are they treating it like a discount game?
Yeah. I hope not, because Game Pass they're still making money off Game Pass. They have an agreement with Microsoft. So I don't know. I can't be that bad. I can't imagine.
They're not hurting.
That's the reason.
They sell the coins, for fucking Diamond Dynasty. Dynasty. It is primitive. It's primitive looking, to say the least. But regardless, there is no better feeling or sound in a video game than hitting that perfect, right to an animation bomb to the Chop House in Atlanta.
Yep. That is probably the best feeling in any sports game I've ever played.
Yeah. So, and that's what keeps coming back, like, keeps bringing me back.
Yeah. So, all right. So with all that being said, we're going to end the episode here with us deciding, or I guess confessing, which one we enjoy more and why. So between the co-op experience in Madden and the co-op experience in MLB, we've laid out the flaws, we've laid out the pros, the cons, the in-between stuff. Chris, if I had to give you one choice between Madden co-op and MLB co-op to play, what are you choosing?
After saying all that shit, I'm still gonna play MLB.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew you were going to say that.
For the reason I just said, there is just some kind of, you're just chasing that perfect, and it's amazing. Now, having said that, it pisses me off more than Madden does, but there is a higher peak,
Yeah.
In the show. So that's why I go back to it. How about you?
Yep. My answer is also the show. And for the same reason you just said, hitting a bomb in that game, there's no better feeling. The sound, the timing, and with the PCI, that just adds an extra layer to the game, like to hitting. It actually kind of feels like you're hitting, which is nice. I like the feeling of that. And then just the satisfaction of getting that timing and that PCI in the perfect spot. It's really rewarding. I also prefer their co-op format more than Madden's co-op format, where we're switching pitching every other inning, we're switching every other batter. I just think it's perfect, and I wouldn't change it at all. Whereas with Madden, we named some things we would change.
Yeah.
I do appreciate Madden having co-op, giving us the ability to do that. I do like, it is satisfying when, I'm QB and you're receiver and we hook up for a deep touchdown pass. That is nice. Or like you run off like a 50-yard touchdown run. Like there's you get satisfaction from playing Madden too, but between the co-op system not being as fun for me at least, and the time of the games, like the games are so short. Even with at the show's almost game-breaking freeze-off glitch, which I don't know if that'll ever be fixed. I would still rather risk the biscuit and play the show with knowing I may not finish this 9-inning game, or I may get to 2 outs in the 9th inning and then it all freezes.
Or we've actually had nights where like we've wasted 2 hours of our life and not finished a game and not accomplished anything. Yeah. That's in the mix there. That can happen, but
yeah. So despite I feel like we talked way more shit on the show than
because we love
Madden.
It more.
But yeah, that's true. We love it more, and I think we're both baseball purists at heart. Baseball's our first love, so we're also gonna gravitate towards that.
I have to say that like a win in the show in the co-op mode feels more rewarding than a co-op win in Madden, and that's because in the show, like you really have to grind out a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you got to hit, but it's like, trying to be good in the field, making the right decisions in the field, not making errors, bringing in the right pitchers, making your pitches. There's like so much weight on each player, in order to come through with a win. I think it feels more like a team effort, and it feels rewarding to win a game in MLB in the co-op. It also feels like shit to lose.
Oh my God. Yeah. But that's another thing. That's one more thing we gotta just mention really quick, is that there's no clock in the show. Like in baseball, obviously baseball, you can come back at any time. Like being down, say 5-0 in MLB The Show, as opposed to being down like 21-0 in Madden, that feels impossible to overcome in Madden. Whereas in the show, you can chip away, and like, we get down 5-0 in the first inning, we're not really panicking. We know that we're going to hit. That's a big reason. That's another big plus for the show right there. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we've had games where we've been down 5 going into the 9th, and we come back and win.
And that is thrilling.
Yeah, it feels good, especially when you get a rally going. Like you hit, I hit, or back-to-back home runs. God damn, that's a great feeling. You know, so I think it's pretty clear. We're glazing up the show here, but it's what flaws. I would go with. There's plenty of other good co-op modes out there, sports wise, sports games wise. So we might be able to tap into that in another episode. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers our co-op experiences.
Yeah, I agree. We covered all of our bases. No pun intended.
Oh,
Or
wow.
very intended, maybe.
Wow.
You never know.
Jesus.
All right, you want to sign us off?
Well, we appreciate you watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We are also available anywhere else you get your podcasts. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. I'm not calling it X, it's Twitter.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we drop weekly episodes. I do want to make a quick mention. Some of the more recent episodes, you've only seen us in duos. And that is just strictly because we've had a handful of, outside of the podcast things and scheduling issues. So in order to get episodes recorded, we've kind of resorted the last few weeks to doing like just, two of us at a time, but we should be getting back to the full squad soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We got some ideas cooking.
Just a little tidbit there. So in case anybody's curious, but we appreciate you tuning in. And as always,
stay sweaty. It's funny that your light fell over, your backlight fell over.
I didn't even pick it up.
You're just shrouded in darkness.
Whatever.
It reflects your personality.
Yeah, with my black shirt, I'm just a floating head.
Yeah, you're just a floating head. You got some arms. Yeah.
Are you going to get on the show? Or are you getting off?
I can probably play a game.